Coffee time.
Welcome to the Coven Slumber Party with Rae of Black Heart Arts and Sarah of Calling Corners, where we break down and geek out over the witchy, magical, mystical media of the 80s, 90s, and more, and try and fill the video store-shaped holes in our hearts. I'm Sarah.
Oh, I'm Rachel Rae. Hi.
Hey! You're Rachel Rae, the celebrity chef.
Yeah, I make sandwiches. Isn't that cute? I
Yes.
somehow have a empire based on sandwiches.
Right?
Anyway, yeah, hi.
What's up?
Me.
Look at that kid, man. I'm so, impressed with his humaning. It's amazing.
Right? I don't know.
Those eyes, it's just like, bam. So how old is he, though, now?
He's almost 5 months.
Oh, I love that you say months and not weeks.
Well, it's crazy. I remember, again, before I had him, I was always so annoyed by women that were like, he's 17 months. It's like, why are you...
Oh, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, if he's over a year, just be like a year and a half.
Yeah,
Not
dude.
quite a year and a half.
Yeah.
I know it's like, now that I have him, I'm like, I get it, because there's so many changes from month to month. But at the same time, for the most part, if someone's asking, they don't need to know that he's 17 months old. Just be like, you know what I mean? They're
Yes.
just like, whereabouts is he?
Yeah. Yeah. No, exactly.
He's 84 weeks old.
Yeah, and then they're doing mental math, being like...
Nobody will fucking do that math. They'll just be like, so can you talk soon? Or like, what? Just answer my fucking question. He's at this stage of starting to roll around and stuff and sitting up and just...
Yeah.
Being interested in food and things.
I love the little outfit, too. That's really sweet.
It's like a sleep sack. It's literally a bag. He's just in a bag.
I like your bag, bud.
There's so many things about babies I didn't understand, and now that I have one, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Because, before I had him, they were like, oh, get a sleep sack. And I was like, it's a fucking bag with arms you put your baby in? What the fuck is that? But I get it now. Because, apparently blankets are, number one enemy for babies.
Right.
It makes sense. But I'm just like, didn't babies have blankets, forever?
Yeah, I
And
guess.
it's like,
yeah.
Nope, no blankets.
Yeah.
So put them in a bag. I'm like, okay, bag it is.
Bagging him up. There he is.
Bagging
Freshly
him up.
bagged.
Oh my god, he's fucking cool.
Welcome to episode 13 of the CSP podcast, the sleepover episode. We are going off script from our usual single film breakdown to connect more with you, our Coven members, and bring you closer to the slumber party. I chatted with a rad listener and all-around magickal, Joe, who suggested a while back that we do a sleepover party online somehow. Do you remember when I was telling you about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a fantastic idea, but we just weren't sure how to approach it or if anyone besides us would be interested. So after listening to a plethora of My Favorite Murder podcast episodes recently, which I've re-fallen in love with, they do you watch that or do you listen to that podcast ever?
I did. It feels like a different lifetime ago when I was I had a gym membership. And I'd listen to him while I was at the gym, and I'd dress like Rocky.
I love it.
It was such a weird moment in my life. I'd just be on the rowing machines, listening about true crime, sweating with a toque and crew neck sweaters on.
Oh, I love that visual. That's awesome.
Yeah, but it's been, I don't even know how long ago it was.
Right.
Sometime.
Yeah, I listened to them a long time ago, and then I got back into them recently, and they do those hometown episodes where people write in and gives their listeners a chance to kind of say their stories, and I was just like, dude, that's an awesome way to do it.
Mm-hmm. I remember there was one that stuck out for me. I think it was, I could have made it up. I don't know, but I think it was real, and it was on that where I think somebody in this town committed suicide on highway sign or something, and it was close to Halloween, so everyone thought it was just a decoration or something.
Yeah.
And so for like almost a full day, this poor person was there, and everyone was like driving by being like, ooh, spooky. And then on the way home, they're like, oh, it was a fucking person.
Yeah.
The idea of that is like totally like crazy to me, that you would just like rationalize something insane like that, just and be like, gotta go get my coffee, and not like think that, you know,
like 'tis the season. Yeah,
like,
you just assume
well
it's like
done.
a prank or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I hear ya. Yeah, so that's where I was like, oh shit, that's a great way to put Joe's idea to the podcast and kind of have a slumber party. So yeah, so we asked you, nay, begged you to write in with your slumber party worthy stories, whether creepy, scary, nostalgic, witchy, funny, anything. So we received, I don't, like 5 or 6, 5? I don't remember right off. We received a handful of stories. So special thanks to those folks that wrote in, and we will get to each of their stories. And as a thank you, we're also going to give them one of our new Coven Slumber Party candles, which I didn't realize we didn't talk about in the last episode.
Oh, we did the one before, I think.
Yeah.
And then we just didn't. I just didn't get them done.
No. So Rae made them.
Oh my God.
They're so brilliant. So it's a combination. It's like, I say it's a combination, but that makes it sound like gross and mixed together. But it's like a two-tone.
Yeah, it's 2-part.
Yeah, it's a 2-part candle.
It's topped with the popcorn scent, and then the bottom half of it is Dr. Pepper. And I remember that's why it took so long, because I was like, I need to get a Dr. Pepper scent. Nothing else will do.
Yes.
And I had to get it shipped in from the States. It was so stupid. It took so much time, so much money.
I can't believe how inaccessible that is to get.
Why? Why does Canada not like Dr. Pepper?
I know.
But anyway, hi. But eventually got it, and then I think I told you I was like not too plussed about it. I was like, doesn't even smell like Dr. Pepper. But after it cures in the soy for weeks, it does kind of have a Dr. Pepper scent to it.
Well done.
So,
well
yeah,
done.
I'm pretty pumped.
Honestly, so good. Yeah, so they will all be receiving candles as a thank you, and then we'll release the rest of them soon.
Oh, also, I have 2 that didn't turn out very well, but you can have one.
Oh, sweet.
You can have one of the weirdos.
I'll take a reject candle for sure.
Okay, cool. They all have like the labels and everything, but they were like made with the leftover batches of stuff, so they're like different colors and stuff.
Oh, gotcha. No, that's awesome. I'll definitely take one of those.
Oh, that remind me, because I didn't have time to like write stuff down.
Okay.
Surprise.
It's okay.
But one of the stories is about a new piece of furniture that I got. But yeah, I got new furniture, and the house is getting kind of like put together, and yeah.
That's awesome. I'm going to put piece of furniture in my script so I remember.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's have a peep. I'm just going to open our Coven Slumber Party email, and we can start reading through some of these stories.
Can you hear that a lot? Is that really annoying?
It's fine. I mean, I can hear it, but it's not like super distracting. I don't even know what it is.
It's a crinkle bag.
Oh.
That is a bag that he does this and shoves in his face.
It'll just be a little ASMR in the background. It's fine.
Yeah. That's to calm everybody's anxieties while we talk about spooky stuff.
Right? Okay, so when we pitched our request to get stories from you, our Coven Slumber Party listeners, most of everyone leaned on a spooky, in the spooky realm, because like let's be real, spooky season kind of continues on after Halloween and all that. So I'm not surprised and was really stoked. The story I'm going to share is maybe somewhat spooky as well, but some of these were actually pretty scary. And then some of them are funny and, touching.
There was one that I honestly was like, that would be like, that's like movie level shit.
Right.
Like, I was like, you're beyond human. Beyond belief, fact or fiction shit.
Right, like the show.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so do you want to read any of these?
I can.
Okay.
I'm not good, but I can.
That's okay. I will read I'll read Shannon. We'll read her first, because I found hers really really creepy, but like also kind of oddly heartwarming as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so this was from Shannon. Hi, I'm a massage therapist and happen to work in an office inside of a 115-year-old building, which, side note to her email, is terrifying potentially anyway.
Halifax explosion-y shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, there's something about buildings that old. You're just like, something else is in the walls.
Something happened.
Yeah. Okay, she says, about 2 months ago, my client and I were doing a quick intake chat before starting our session. My office door was shut tight as I literally pushed on it. She started to say something and the door clicks open. I thought it was my business partner coming to my door for something. I opened the door and no one was in the hall. I shrugged it off for my client and shut the door again. Next evening, myself and a different client are the only people in the office. All doors to get in or out are locked for safety. My client came in particularly upset about her day. She had had some sentimental items go missing at her work. She was very distraught about it. After her session, I met her at the reception area. As she sat down, she was much calmer and centered than at her initial arrival. She started to tell me how her deceased husband used to buy her gift certificates for massages all the time. I kid you not, I heard the handle of my office door move like someone just shut the door and didn't latch it. Just pulled on it. I couldn't see my office door from the angle I was at, but she looked over her shoulder. I asked, did you happen to close the door when you walked out just now? Thinking she just pulled it enough and it moved as it was an old building. She said, no, but it is shut right now. It sounded like the door handle moved. Now, I'm trying to remain professional and calm. Yeah, fair enough.
Right?
I got up to make sure no one somehow got into the locked building and was hiding in my office. I opened the door, which was not shut tight but closed, and there wasn't anyone in there. My client hops out of the chair and comes over to debunk the sound we heard. We couldn't recreate it without touching the door handle. We both just looked at each other in shock. We believe it was her husband coming in and waiting for her, letting her know he was still with her and supporting her still. Needless to say, I got out pretty quickly that night.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. I love how they explain that though. Like, I think that's very sweet.
Yeah. My thought would go there too, like I'd be like, oh, especially I guess there's been times when stuff happens and you have like a feeling in your gut where you're like, I gotta run away now.
Yeah.
But there's been times where you're like, okay. This is just nice universe, whatever times.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like unexplained stuff isn't necessarily entirely frightening. Although I gotta say, I do agree with her. I would leave no matter what quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Also.
It's not my husband.
Yeah, you're just like, I don't know. Goes back to like our conversation we had. It's like, I heard a noise. Is it aliens or someone crawling on the ceiling?
Oh, 100%. Something fucked up is happening. And,
right?
No bueno. I'm out of there.
No, yeah. But I thought, that was really sweet. And it was so detailed, which I love too. It really like painted a good picture. So very, very awesome. Thank you so much, Shannon.
I also really like the fact that like the client was chill enough about it to like help her try to recreate the sound. How precious of a visual is that? Like these two people being like, well, what if I step on this board and you push this here?
I know. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. That's awesome.
I can read Sophie's.
Yeah, go for it.
This is like really precious. One day, my grandmother came to my house for a surprise visit. She came into my room wanting to have a little chat, but also took a look around my room since she hadn't been in there for a very long time. Some backstory as to our relationship. She is extremely Christian and is the classic old-fashioned white woman. Which I'm like, that's so cute.
Yeah.
She has no idea I practice witchcraft. And I always hid everything related to witchcraft whenever she came over in the past. But this time I didn't hide everything on my altar, and she looked at it very hard. She stared at it for a minute or two, and I was getting nervous that she might think I was a Satanist or something. Then she looked at me and said, all of this is for you to smell good? My altar is very clearly a witchcraft altar with pentacles, spell jars, tarot cards, crystals, and things like that. I was just happy she came up with that idea and agreed immediately.
let's rationalize. Yeah. Yeah.
This is for you to smell good?
I like that she's
How
just like,
cute.
yeah, 100%. Totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. That tarot card is for body odor. When I read that, I did giggle a lot because,
Yeah.
like, I've been in situations like that where, like, you're just like, oh, I'm going to be judged. And,
Yeah.
like, how do I deal with this? I'm getting more comfortable and confident in it, though. But I remember going for a walk once and running into I was telling her about, like, Black Heart Arts and what I do and stuff. And I was like, ritual candles and stuff. She's like, oh, you believe in that stuff? Part of me was like, fuck you.
Yeah, like, what are you supposed to say in response, you know?
Well, I wanted to be like, you're very, like, Christian or Catholic or whatever the big C is. And, like, that's for some reason acceptable to go in and pay money to light a candle in the church for a prayer for someone.
Yeah.
But yet,
Yep.
you doing it at home on an altar is like, that's a little kooky weird out there. It's like, you literally do the same fucking thing.
The perspective is, can be very bizarre.
Yeah.
Truly. Yeah, it is. I remember something kind of funny. It was one of our first holidays. The shop opened, and so of course, you know, you have a lot of last minute buyers and stuff.
Yeah.
Predominantly boyfriends, husbands. Not to judge, but predominantly boyfriends, husbands. You know,
Emergency buying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this guy had come in, obviously, you know, last minute shopper, you know, this sort of thing, and picked up a few things. I would say he didn't really know. It seemed to me like he was looking for almost like stocking stuffers, or he didn't really explain too much.
Right.
But he picked up like some crystals, and I remember crystals for sure. But again, this is going back like 5-6 years, so
Yeah.
but something kind of like neutral, I want to say. Like, it wasn't anything wild. It's not like he picked up a copy of like the Satanic Bible, or, you know, like something a little more polarizing to the casual observer. But anyway, so our policy kind of is that when people buy stuff for the holiday season, because we're so manual, if they come in with a receipt after the holiday season for like the month of January, and the receipt was for November or December, we'll honor that exchange or store credit.
Okay.
So that kind of covers everyone. It gives them an opportunity, especially because we're closed the first week back anyway, because we're closed from Christmas Day till New Year's Day, essentially. So it gives people an opportunity for the rest of the month to kind of come in and trade. So this guy comes back in when we reopen, and he's like, yeah, I got this stuff. I don't know if it was a mother-in-law, or his mother or an aunt, but some like woman who was in his life that was older than he. And he's like, and she wanted me to take it back. And I was like, oh, okay, what's wrong with it? And he's like, are you guys like a witch store or something? She said, oh, this was witched. I was like,
What?
I was like, well, first of all, yeah. But also, like, I said something back. I was just like, well, you know, we support a lot of, like, you know, like, gifts and books and education and, like, you know, new age
so good.
Or, like, earth-based spiritualities. Like, you know, you try and say something a little more diplomatic, because, you know, clearly this person, like, wasn't on the up and up about what they were getting, which I found, not to be rude, but I found kind of weird. Like, I don't go into a store, and if I don't know what I'm getting, I'm not going to be like, give me 10 of them.
Yeah, I don't
I mean?
go into like an automotive store and be like, my boyfriend wants to buy a car, I'm gonna get these bolts for him.
Right?
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, right. It was so strange. Anyway, I was like, well, we can take them back, but we just do exchange or store credit, and if she didn't want these because she thought it was too demonic, question mark, she's probably not going to want a gift card.
That's so great, though. I love the idea of someone coming in and seeing a wall of gemstones and being like, I guess I get her some rocks?
Right? It was so strange. And I did, a part of me did feel bad, because, like, I understand there is a little chaos, like, at the last, like, push to Christmas or whatever, like, whatever. There's kind of, like, this, like, social gun to, or I guess cultural gun to your head almost, to, like, buy all the stuff and gift all the gifts. But it was just it was just a weird one. And just the way he approached it, he's like, are you a witch door? Like, I was just like,
I love that so much, though. Honestly, just going in your store and not reading the room and knowing what's going on, you know, like,
or like
what
almost
is
like
his
insinuating
life
that we're
like?
pulling the wool over your eyes, and it's like, no,
Right?
no,
It's all here. It's clear
all
as
here.
day, dude.
yeah,
Oh my god.
yeah. So that was a unique, funny kind of experience, but
All
taking it back to Sophie's story, I can understand how some people, having had that experience, can chalk it up to something totally different, I guess.
I'll just fill in the blanks myself over here. It's like,
right.
Sounds great. Sounds great, grandmama. Also, like, I'm kind of jealous that people have, like, working altars up all of the time. I've never been able to consistently do that, and I'm always so impressed when people are able
me
to.
too. Like, I definitely have one, but dude, that thing collects dust. Like,
right?
yeah, totally. I almost like equate it to like people who manage to keep their house clean on a regular basis. I'm like, how do you do that? So the next story we have comes from Jen, who wrote another one that's just so like, I want to say like atmospheric. Like, it's so good. Are you cool if I read Jen's?
Oh, go for it.
Sweet. Okay, so she is telling another spooky real tale of something that happened. All right, so she says, it was charming. Deep, wide windowsills, 10-foot ceilings, transoms above the doors. What's transoms?
Dude, I read that and I was like, that sounds bougie, fancy shit from like 1800s. And I was like, I'll look it up. Did not look it up.
Transoms. Okay, and in architecture, a transom is a transverse horizontal structural beam or bar or crosspiece separating the door from the window above it. Oh, it's like one of those fancy, like, I picture it like Home Alone.
Right.
Yeah. Or like,
there's like a window thing above a door.
You got it. Totally.
Yeah. Got it.
But she just knows the word transoms and it's just in her vocabulary. I'm a little jealous.
It's just like, girl, get out of here.
I love it.
I just picture her being absolutely stunning with like a great wardrobe. Like while reading this, I was like, she probably can wear linen and it not wrinkle, you know?
I love it. Yes. So good. Yeah, but anyway, I'm totally going to use the word transoms now that I know what they are.
You're going to just like keep an eye out, like desperately looking
I'll be like, walk by somebody's house. Sweet transom. Oh, you don't know what that is? Let me explain it to you.
Cute.
Cute. Added to my vocabulary, so great. Transoms above the door, high baseboards. It even came with an eccentric landlord. I love that sentence. It even came with so good. The designated heritage home was also in walking distance to a cute but troubled old downtown area. We signed a 1-year lease for the 2-bedroom apartment in the upstairs of the house. The landlord told us we could not paint or change any fixtures because of the heritage designation. What he didn't tell us was that it was haunted. I love that. Oh, it's so Stephen King. It's like...
Right?
It's like, and then I never saw him again. It's just like one of Stephen King's like...
Yeah, or like
lines.
He was never there to begin with.
Yeah,
like,
I love it. So good. So good.
Sorry, Jen.
Continuing. My boyfriend worked shift work, midnights, afternoons, days. MAD for short. Which I never knew that was a thing. That's cool, too.
See, I'm learning so much from her.
I know. Anyway. Same. Oh, man. I was going to university, so there were weeks when our schedules would be completely opposite. Sleeping alone didn't bother me, at first. It started with the sound of keys dropping on the kitchen table, like someone just got home. But I was alone. My partner's preschooler laughing at empty corners of his bedroom and living room. Oh my gosh, kids are so creepy, though.
Right?
That would freak me out. Yeah.
Not looking forward to this dude being weird. I'm gonna just, like, have to sage everything constantly. Anyway,
right. Just, like, scrutinize every piece of artwork in case it's, like, the haunted kids that are, like, hanging around him. The one day John got up at 4 a.m. to head to work for his day shift, he saw a woman with her hair in a bun in the kitchen window as he walked up the hall. At first he thought it was a reflection caused by the light in the kitchen. Was this a trick of the light? A reflection of something on the counter? He stared more intently as he approached, but as he continued walking toward the kitchen, the apparition disappeared. One night, when I was sleeping alone, the clock radio turned on by itself and woke me up in the middle of the night. Odd, I thought. I would be like, oh my god, we have to get out of here.
I'd be like, nope.
Yeah, I would nope right out of there.
Going to a hotel.
I have occasional bouts of sleep paralysis. They are not fun. So just for those of you who can't see, Rae just raised her hand. Go ahead.
The idea of this is so terrifying, and she writes about it so casually and is just like, it doesn't happen that much, thankfully. Yeah. The bottom of my feet are like sweaty because I know you're gonna read it, and it makes me so uncomfortable. Anyway, continue.
I know, she's so eloquent. Like,
she's just such a beast. It's like, oh, things turn on while I'm sleeping, and like all of this crazy sleep paralysis. It's fine.
I know, like, that's the thing too. I know we've joked around before. It's just like, I know if I had a kid and they were like, there's a monster under my bed, I'd be like, all right, well, we're gonna sleep somewhere else in a hotel and not look to see what that is. Cool.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to look under the bed. If Walter's like, there's a man in the closet, I'll be like, seen too many times? Well, there was a man in the closet. So, yeah. Sorry, we keep...
Yeah, I know. There's so much good stuff in this. It's so rife with stuff I want to discuss. I have occasional bouts of sleep paralysis. These are not fun. Awake but unable to speak or move. The sensation of something pinning you down and screaming like a banshee in your ear. Oh, right?
What the fuck?
So terrifying.
Okay.
This happens rarely, thank goodness, and I thought maybe that this next experience was another episode of it, but I was wrong. Oh my god, Stephen King sentence again. Okay. I woke up unable to move my head. I felt the sensation of something sitting on my bed, then my chest. Then the radio turned on. I tried to lift my hand to hit the light switch, but it was like trying to move through thick mud. Something wouldn't let me turn on the light no matter how I tried to get my arm up. I also desperately wanted to turn off the radio, but decided to lay still. Eventually it subsided and I fell back asleep. The next morning I got up as John got home to get to sleep. I grabbed my textbooks and headed to the couch to study, and as I cracked the spine to start reading, that's when I noticed my arm. The arm I tried to hit the light switch with. There were 5 bruises in distinct pattern, exactly like fingers grabbing my arm.
Like, my nipples just got cold.
No, right?
I was like, no. Also, like, the idea that such a traumatic thing would happen to you, and you're like, I'll just lie here till I fall back asleep. Like...
Yeah, I feel like people... I hear people talk sometimes online or, like, on shows about having to deal with sleep paralysis, and they seem to kind of, like, take on... Like, it's almost like they've gotten used to, like, the terror, in a way, when they describe it. It's just like, I don't know if I could, like...
I don't know. Like, there was actually a documentary done about sleep paralysis, and I tried to watch it, and it freaked me out too much.
Right.
It's like that and spontaneous human combustion, for whatever reason, are like 2 things where I'm just like, I just don't want to hang out in that reality.
But I hear you on the spontaneous human combustion thing. That's terrifying too.
Ever since I was young, there was like, I think we were the last generation of like golden TV time. Mm-hmm. You know, there was like weird documentaries about Bigfoot all the time. And, like, UFOs and just weird stuff. And I remember, like, so many things about spontaneous human combustion. Mm-hmm. And, like, I think I was probably, like, 7 or 8 when I watched my first one. And there was, like, so many old-timey photos of just, like, piles of ash with, like, a foot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just, like... And it was a documentary with a narrator with a stern voice. And I was like, this is fucking real?
Yeah.
And this fucking happens?
Yeah, they're just... And I haven't looked into it literally at all, but
when I was 12, I think I stopped because I was just like, I'm too mature for this. Or I said that because I was too scared.
Right? Yeah, fair. But it's funny because I don't ever hear anyone like debunk it entirely either, which is the creepy part.
Right? Because I feel like everything I've looked into, they're all just like, it's weird.
Yeah.
They could have been smoking.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. They had some booze, so they were full of booze. Question mark, shrug.
Yeah.
It's like that doesn't help me much.
Also, and I feel like they might have talked about this in an episode of My Favorite Murder too, but like the idea that like cigarettes and booze can cause spontaneous human combustion in any sense, don't you think it would happen like more often?
All the time in Nova Scotia, like all the time.
Yeah, it just seems like so weird that as an explanation.
Okay, there was one thing that the Jen story reminded me of. I probably talked about it though. A bunch of us broke into the old infirmary that it doesn't exist anymore in Halifax. Did I?
I feel like you might have started this, but please tell me, because I need to. I forget everything.
I did. And if it probably is in a podcast.
Oh well,
whatever. We went in there and it was super creepy. It's now like housing for a university, I think. Mm-hmm. They like tore it down, but it was super creepy and people were living there. And I think now that I'm saying this, yeah, it was in an episode, whatever.
But did you see the people living there? Like,
no, which made it really creepy because we saw their bed, like mattresses and stuff were pulled in, but we could hear them. We could hear. They obviously didn't want to get seen. They didn't know who we were, and we didn't know who they were. So yeah, whatever. So they just like scurried to one end of the building, kind of thing, and we just went on an adventure. And we got to the boiler room. We went to a bunch of really creepy places, like the cafeteria, but it was like flooded. So just like the weirdest imagery.
Oh,
and then got to the boiler room, and I told everybody not to take anything.
Good call. Good call.
Yeah, but my boyfriend at the time did not listen, and he took a set of keys from the boiler room.
Okay.
And took them back to my apartment, but didn't tell me until he was like painting them and putting them in like an art piece he was making, and he was like, I got these from the boiler room, and I was like, you asshole. And basically there was just like super weird it was probably for a couple of days, and I was like, you have to take this away, because there was like the sound of keys in the hall, like in the apartment building that I was in. There was like one main hall for all of like, it was like elevator in the middle, one main hall, left and right apartments, whatever.
Oh, yeah, totally. I lived in one like that, too. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would hear keys going up and down the hall, and when it would sound, like, very loud, like, as if somebody was, like, maintenance or whatever. But when I'd open the door, there was no one there, and there was nobody in by the washer or dryer, no doors closing or anything, and so it was, like, super creepy, and it kept happening over and over and getting louder and stuff until I was like, you have to get rid of these keys. And then when he did, they were gone. The sound just, like, stopped. And I was like, that is creepy. Too much for me.
Yep.
What the fuck? But then
it just sucks because you're the one that was like, don't take anything.
Don't take anything, you turds.
Who do we have next?
Oh, Ginger.
All right. Do you want to do that one?
Okay. This is so good. House. The 1986 apparently comedy horror film scared me so much. I only remember pieces of the film. Still have a copy on VHS, but haven't watched it. I know it will ruin the memory. I feel that a lot about a lot of movies. Also used to dare people to say Bloody Mary 3 times in a mirror, but refused to do it myself. This was the 4th grade. Only wore black this year, too. Started my goth phase early. LOL.
Love it.
And then call me Ginger on the podcast. Hope lots of people write cooler things than me. Much love to the Coven Slumber Party humans behind the podcast. Thank you, Ginger. That was very cute.
That is also very cute.
Like, totally brought back memories of doing Bloody Mary also in elementary school.
Totally.
And I remember being so scared. I don't think I did it either. There were like 2 girls that were like tough and like whatever, and I think they did it, and I was like, I don't even think I stayed in the bathroom. I don't know, or I like went into one of the stalls. Like I was like, no joke, this is too much for me.
Well, and you know what? Fair enough. Like that urban, like I know we've talked about this in a previous podcast, but like the whole concept of like spells being potent like tools of manifestation because of the belief in them.
Yes.
And that's definitely like one of them. That is an urban legend. I don't know about now, but I know when we were young, like there was no kid that didn't know what Bloody Mary was.
I wonder if like kids even give a fuck now. Is it Slender Man? Oh my god, look how cute he is in the tiny corner. Sorry.
Oh my god, yes.
Hi, little dude. Um, but like, is it like Slender Man and creepy stuff like that that's like got kids shook?
Yeah, I'd say Slender Man's probably like, I know even though it's like very evident that it was like made online as like a
Right.
creative outlet, it still seems to have like gone the way of urban legend. I mean, even though I know there was even like true crimes where people like tried to commit murder over.
Like, didn't that actually happen? Like, didn't like 12-year-old girls kill somebody?
They tried to kill their best friend. She survived after, and they had stabbed her like repeatedly. She survived, which is so amazing. But
oh my god.
So I think the concept of urban legend is alive and well. I just don't know if they necessarily think of it in those terms now.
Oh, side note, I watched Seance.
How was it?
It was pretty good.
That's the Shudder thing?
Yeah, it's on Shudder.
Cool.
It's a Blumhouse, I think, maybe?
Oh,
I can't remember. Or is it Shudder? I can't.
I saw an advertisement for it somewhere, I think. I haven't watched it, though.
It is definitely worth a watch. I was highly entertained.
Nice. Okay.
It was fun.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. I might check that out for sure, then. I might check it out for sure. I will check it out.
No, because there's like a Bloody Mary-esque sort of scene at the beginning that like was a lot of fun, and I was also like, oh yeah, like that was a thing.
It was a thing. It was a thing. I remember that too, trying that. But I think we tried it in school, in like the middle of a school day in the bathroom. So it's like.
But the thing is, like, our elementary school was just like a cinder block building sort of thing, and the washrooms were in the middle of the design of it, so there were no windows. So you turned off the light, even if it was like noon, you turn off the light in that place and it's fucking dark and creepy. Not my strongest outing. I'm pretty sure I was like like the entire time.
It's a creepy concept, and I mean, like, even like I guess I'd love to know how Bloody Mary came to be like an urban legend, and like what ignited that, because I was gonna say it was older then, but I don't know if that's true. But the movie and story of Candyman, it's like very similar.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
I don't know what predates what there, because I'm not sure. Oh, and also House is a terrifying movie, especially if you watch it as a kid. It is very bizarre.
I remember watching it only once, I think, and isn't there like a moment where someone goes in a bathroom mirror and gets transported to Vietnam or something during the war? Okay, yeah, super weird. I more remember House 2, which is straight up a comedy horror. Like, there's no way around that.
Yeah, there's no confusing it.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it also like reminded me of like times at slumber parties and stuff. We watched stuff. I don't think it was supposed to really creep me out, but it really creeped me out. And it was at one of my friends' places at the time. We like were in the basement, but it was one of those basements that had like a walkout area, so there was like big sliding glass doors. And I remember we watched Twin Peaks, like the pilot episode.
Nice.
I think we watched it twice. And the second time everyone fell asleep when it got to this part, and I got too scared. I had to stop it and force myself to try to go to sleep. And it was the part where Laura's mom is like having a flashback when she's looking for her, and she goes up in the room, and then you can see like Bob behind the bed.
Yes, I know the part. It's creepy.
Yeah, that alone is terrifying, but then the mom's performance when she realizes is so creepy too. And it was just like so uncomfortable, and I was in this new place, and I was like, there's just a giant glass door there, anyone can come in, and I was just like so uncomfortable. I don't think I slept like at all. I was just like shivering on the floor, being like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
Yeah.
There's not weird men crouching in random parts of this room I've never been in before. Like, oh, it really like freaked me out.
Also, what I love about that story is that like Twin Peaks was selected as the video of choice for that slumber party. What a bizarre show. I mean, it's so good, but
right? I remember we were obsessed with all of those small little Lynchian things, like when Bobby, is it Bobby or Billy, like goes to the office, Laura's boyfriend. I think it's Bobby.
I can't remember.
But he gets called to the office.
Yeah.
And he does this like thing where he's like doot doot doot, and he's like stomping weird, and then he turns backwards and like walks backwards in a weird way.
Yeah.
All of that little stuff we obsessed about and like did in our day-to-day lives.
That's
for
awesome.
years.
I love that. I love it. But that's what made Twin Peaks so wonderful, is it's just like those weird moments that they like tried to normalize, and they were just like, this is how this goes.
Yeah, it's just like, this is the world we've created.
Yeah.
Where you have no idea when it's happening, because people are dressed in all of the ways.
Yeah,
Do you know
exactly.
what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's like, what time
so
period
strange.
is this? Is this a period piece? Maybe it's today.
It is always.
It is always. That's a great line. David Lynch would be very, very happy about that line. Yeah, like the log lady, just a woman who carries around a log, and that's it.
And Nadine.
Yes.
Like, she's just obsessed about those quiet blinds. So much to love.
Yeah.
But it was really scary. Really scary.
But I feel like, too, that's a really interesting thing that you touch on, is like sometimes the scary thing is not the scariest thing within that moment. It's like being informed about it, like how you say like the mom's response to him being in the room was the frightening part.
That was the part that got me.
Yeah. It reminds me of watching the movie The Shining as a kid. So when I watched it, you know, there's that scene where Wendy's running around and things are kind of hitting the fan, and she runs down that hallway and she sees the guy dressed up as like a bear and the other guy, and they lean out of the room.
Yeah. Yes.
I didn't really catch what, like, the deeper meaning of what's possibly going on there as a kid. I was just like, that's weird.
Yes.
But when you see her response to it, terrifying. Terrifying. And it really got me. And so that ended up being one of the scariest moments for me in that movie, because I was just like, oh, she's telling us how to feel in this moment, and it's fucking scary.
Yeah. Oh, Shelley Duvall's face should have won all of the awards in that movie.
Totally. So expressive.
I just watched that on Halloween with my two eldest nephews.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because it was years ago now. Ready Player One came out, and like the original Stranger Things, and like one of my nephews was like obsessed with watching all of the source material that was referenced.
Oh, interesting.
And stuff.
Yeah.
So The Shining was one on the list, but we never got a chance to watch until now. And they were like, "Yeah, it's okay, it's good. It's not that scary." And I was like,
No, it's scary.
It is, but I don't know if it's like a generational thing. But they kept being like, there's like no jump cuts and no like scares. And I was like, that's the thing. He builds up
the terror. It's kind of like the movie The Witch, the newer one. It's like, that's such a terrifying movie, but you can't really.
It starts heavy though. Like, it starts, isn't it in the first like 15-20 minutes, a witch grinds up a baby and puts it on her face?
Maybe that's true. Maybe so. I can't really remember that. I feel like it happened like kind of.
The baby goes missing. Oh shit! Spoiler.
Yeah. Oh well. Spoiler. At this point, like, if you're listening to the podcast.
Yeah, she's like playing peekaboo with the baby, right on the outskirts of the woods, and then she covers and is like peekaboo, and like the baby's gone, and then it kind of like cuts to creepy dark witch, and it's just like mortal and pestle, and then it's just like she's putting blood on her face, and like I remember watching it being like, what the fuck? Do you know, like, there's like very few things that ever cross the baby line, in like horror and stuff, and like I get it,
totally,
like, but like watching that, I was terrified. Like, I was like, they did it well, it looked gross, it was creepy, whatever, but also I was just like, impressed they went there.
Well, it's funny
Like,
because
that happened.
Yeah, no, I do remember that being like a plot point, is like the baby goes missing and stuff. But I feel almost like now I'm wondering, was I looking at my phone at that moment or something? Because to me it wasn't so like connected. I was just like, oh, this woman's puttering around her, this witch is puttering around her, I don't know, house doing stuff.
Yeah, it's like there is I've only watched it twice, I think, and it was like a long time ago, but I'm pretty sure there's enough information that they give you visually to be like, that's the baby.
Oh, I'm sure there was. I'm sure.
But it's again, it's like a quiet and quick scene too.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, if you were like doing other stuff or getting ready or settling down, you might miss it. Yeah, for sure.
Moving on back to stories. We will read Story from Hazel. So Hazel's our next one.
This is the one where it's like, this is movie quality, hocusy pocusy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're an elite.
It's also like very, very long. So grab your tea, settle in, and this is Hazel's story. Okay, so my story is about my first real encounters with spirit, which is how I learned eventually that I was a medium. This story takes place 2.5 I'm just gonna say 2.5. It sounds more like more literary. Yeah. This story takes place 2.5 or a little more decades ago. Still baffles me that I can actually say decades now. Also true, it's so weird to like think back to when stuff happened now and have yeah, it's crazy.
It's so weird.
Back when VHS was still a beautiful thing and pizza was a popular choice of food on a Friday night. What are you talking about back when? Those are still things that we talk about all the time.
I know, but like there is a little tear in my eye to be like, oh, those were the days.
I know.
Anyway, yeah.
It's fair. It's fair. We all look back at them with nostalgia. I was 10 years old and it was just a week out from my 11th birthday. For the past 2 weeks beforehand, I had been waking up between the hours of 3 and 4 a.m. And I was never certain why, but very much remember feeling watched and cold. But I also remember being able to vividly recall dreams that I was on a farm and, oddly enough, a bed made out of straw and hay. Another dream I also was able to remember after being woken up was I was walking through what seemed to be an attic, but a very old-style 1950s, 60s attic. The ones where everything was either insulated with hay and whatever was placed in the attic was covered in burlap and sheets. These dreams I just shook off, never really understanding them until my first actual encounter and conversation with spirit. So, after a while of having these dreams, I went to bed one night hoping I could dream of anything else, like Devon Sawa or Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Amen. I had stayed up later than normal reading Nancy Drew under the covers with a flashlight in hopes of not waking my parents. Like, who wasn't? And decided at 3 a.m. that I was probably better to turn out the flashlight and get some sleep before I ended up getting caught. When just as I turned it off, I thought I had seen my dad standing in the doorway of my room looking at me. I played dead or asleep. Maybe play asleep. I feel like they'd be very concerned if you were playing dead. I really had thought I had gotten caught. You know how a deer freezes in headlights? Well, that was me. But he didn't move, he just stood there. And I just laid there frozen, literally frozen. After a few minutes, I thought maybe I would say something. Plead my case now in hopes that the punishment might be lesser than the crime, which would have likely involved removing my books for a week. That sucks, man.
I know,
Staying up reading late is, like, cool and should be celebrated. For me, that was catastrophic and happened a few times. So I spoke to him, remembering saying, "I'm sorry, Daddy, I just couldn't sleep, but promise I will now. Please don't tell Mom. I swear on my books I won't do it again." That's so cute. But it wasn't my dad who responded. The man looked at me and he outright chuckled at me. Then he spoke so softly, passively, and said, "Child, I am not here to bring you grief over reading a book. I need you to relay something to your father." Well, let me tell you, if I had never peed my pants before, this was the first time. But at the same time, I was calm on the outside and said to him in a rush, "What does my daddy need to know then, and what's your name, and how did you get in my house?" All very good questions.
Yeah, valid.
He responded to me, "My name you'll know later on, and I can come and go as I'm needed. Your father needs to go to the homestead to the attic. Tell him to search the insulation and he will find what he needs. Tell him also that Pee-wee is with me like I told him before I passed that he would be, and he's not as hot-tempered here as he was on Earth. Then he just disappeared. Gone. Well, let me tell you, I ran, and I mean ran from my room. I burst through my parents' door. My mom thought the house was on fire. In a mixture of words and actions, I somehow was able to tell my father about the visit I had just had. I know.
Sorry.
It is. That's so cute, though. He's so sweet. My mother thought I was crazy, certifiable. My father, on the other hand, cried tears and left then for his old homestead, where in the insulation hidden he found over $5,000. My parents were having financial difficulties in their business. I remember my father coming to me after he got home. He had tear stains on his face, and instead of asking me about the money, he asked how his father was and if he had said what heaven was like. I had no idea this was his father because he had passed away long before I was born. I never knew him or even seen a picture of him. Oh yes, and as for Pee-wee, he was my father's pet bull who liked nobody else beside my good old dad.
How precious is that? Hello, Coven.
All changed, bud?
Yeah.
Oh, look at you. You're even in a different bag?
Yeah, he's out of the bag.
Oh, you're out of the bag.
Out of
Freedom.
The bag.
Oh, this kid is awesome.
That story is insane.
It's so good, right?
It's so good that it doesn't sound real. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like we got these from a book of short stories or something. Like, the points they make things more profound later on in the story. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's very cool.
Waking up at 3 and 4, having weird dreams about attics and stuff.
I've never had anything that visceral or like that in your face, I guess, happen.
No.
It's pretty intense.
I don't know if I'd be able to deal.
No, I don't think I could.
I think I'm too old.
You're just like, nope.
No, this is not happening. Bye.
Am I missing anyone?
I don't think so. I think that's all I read anyway.
Yeah, that's all we had then. So thank you to all of you who wrote in. That was super fun. And I'm really excited that we got to read and experience that. I was trying to think of a story I could contribute, and like I said to you, it ended up being about like when I was in Brownies.
I'm super excited though, because like Brownies, that was like a lit time for me. I love Brownies.
Yeah, you were in it too?
Oh yeah, I went full on. I got my Canada cord because I'm a loser.
I think that's cool and impressive. I'm just like, I was so non-committal, I couldn't really get into it. I was like, hiking, really?
Yeah, I went all the way, Pathfinder, Canada
Awesome.
cord, did the whole thing. I think I even have all of my badges still.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah. So what happened? I do need to know, because I'm picturing you as a brownie, but with green hair.
I love that. I wish.
So
that
it's
was the
really
case.
exciting for me.
I don't even know if I have any pictures from this time period. Okay, so this is, I wrote it all out, so it's pretty long, and I have some quotes and references, which seems weird, but won't once I get into it.
No, I'm so pumped. Okay, cool.
Okay, so I was trying to think of a story that I was laying actually in bed when we kind of figured what we were doing, and people started trickling, like the story started trickling in, and I was like, oh man, what can I even talk about? I feel like I've used like my best gold on this podcast so far, unintentionally.
Yeah.
At that. And one of the stories that I kept thinking about, I don't even know if you'd really call it a story. It was just something I remembered. The thing I kept going back to was river country. Are you familiar?
No.
Okay. Let me start from the beginning.
Ooh, boys, I'm excited. Okay.
When I was a kid, around 7 or 8, so circa 92, 93, I lived in the U.S. for a short time, specifically Florida. I was even more briefly at that time in Brownies, which was a branch of Girl Guides for that age bracket. I wasn't much for scouting, camping, and already very suspect of authority. Fair enough. I remember very little of my scouting experience aside from going door to door selling cookies, which at the time in the States, they had like a selection of like 8 kinds or something. It was amazing. And it's weird because coming back to Canada and living in Canada, it seems like there's only 1 or 2 types of Girl Guide cookies here.
I think there's 3. There's like the chocolate, vanilla, and then the Thin Mints.
Right, the Thin, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is 3. That's true.
But still, we're missing out on a lot.
We're missing out, I feel like. Listeners in the U.S., is there still a lot of Girl Guide option for cookie flavors?
I do want to know.
Yeah, I do too.
And I don't want to Google it.
Fair. The other vivid memory I have about being in Brownies was a camping trip we took to Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground, which was home to a place that sounded ominous to me as a 7-year-old. River country. So a little about Fort Wilderness if you're not familiar. So this is from Wikipedia. Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground is a themed camping resort located in the Magic Kingdom resort area at the Walt Disney World Resort. It officially opened on November 19th, 1971. And creepy side note, when I started researching Fort Wilderness, it was actually on November 19th. So that was... Yeah.
Oh.
The resort is adjacent to Bay Lake and the upcoming Reflections Vacation Club Resort. This resort is also located near Disney's Fort Wilderness Lodge. Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground has a rustic theme. Oh, this is also still from Wikipedia, by the way.
Okay.
Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground has a rustic theme and is located on 750 acres of pine and cypress forest.
What?
Tree-lined winding roads loop around to various regions of the resort. Part of the resort is occupied by campsites where visitors with tents or recreational vehicles can stay. The remainder of the lodging area is occupied by permanent trailers designed to resemble log cabins. Continuing with Wikipedia. The resort features playgrounds and 2 heated swimming pools. Other activities include fishing, horseback riding, a 2.3-mile, 3.7-kilometer paved and sand exercise trail extends from the Pony Farm to Disney's Wilderness Lodge Resort. They also provide canoes, kayaks, bikes, and tennis rackets to rent at the Bike Barn. Guests can make reservations to learn archery and go horseback riding. At the marina, pontoon boats and other watercraft are available for rent to travel the waterways of Bay Lake and the Seven Seas Lagoon. So that's kind of the picture.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's pretty
Pony
intense.
farms, bike barns.
Yeah.
That sounds fancy.
So, right? Another creepy side note. So I was kind of like doing some personal fact checking on this. And so I asked my mom about what she remembers of me being in Brownies on this trip. And I was like, what do you remember about my experience at Fort Wilderness and Brownies? And she's like, she thought about it. She's like, all I remember is that the tent places were on stilts. And I was like, oh, why? And she's like, I don't know. I think there was scorpions.
What?
Now that's just my mom, like, kind of recalling, but I was just like, what a creepy sentence. And that kind of speaks to, like, the ominous nature of my feelings about this place, but...
See, like, as much as warm climate places are, like, groovy, because it's like, ooh, beaches and sun, you get weird shit like that.
Right? For me, the real terror wasn't the potential dangers of the campground itself, scorpions or otherwise, but the destination water park within, River Country. So a little about River Country, also care of Wikipedia.
Thanks, Wiki.
Right? So Disney's River Country was the first water park at Walt Disney World. River Country was located along the shores of Bay Lake and near Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground. The park was themed as a rustic, old-fashioned swimming hole and opened on June 20th, 1976, and closed indefinitely November 2nd, 2001, with the Walt Disney Company later announcing on January 20th, 2005 that the park would remain closed permanently. This made the water park the second of only 2 Disney parks in the company's history to close permanently, with nearby Discovery Island on the lake closing in 1999. A new hotel, Reflections, a Disney Lakeside Lodge, would be built at the former site of Disney's River Country starting in 2019, set to open in 2022. We'll see. Yeah, so it closed. It just closed.
Yeah.
But it just didn't close. Like, they fucking just, like, closed up for the night one day and never went back. It's considered an abandoned park.
Okay.
Which is also very creepy.
Yeah.
So, yesterland.com says, quote, "It's also safe to say that it was the first theme water park, like, in existence," which is it's kind of neat.
Okay.
And they also say at yesterland.com, "The water park's grand opening had been June 20th, 1976. Susan Ford, the 18-year-old daughter of President Gerald Ford, took the first official ride down Whoop and Holler Hollow." Which I actually went down Whoop and Holler Hollow.
Oh.
Yeah, it was one of the things at the park that we did during this brownie trip. It is terrifying. I'm sorry, I'll get into it.
Is it like a flume ride? Is that what they're called?
Okay, it's not. It's like more of a regular water slide, kind of like all over the place. But the thing that you have to understand, and I'll get into it more about River Country, was it had water that came in and was funneled in from Bay Lake. So the water was like a lagoon. It was like a swamp. Everything, like the playground equipment, all this was in like this murky ass water that looked to a child like it just kept going out into the lagoon and the lake beyond.
Ugh.
They did have a pool there as well, like a regular pool, but that was also terrifying. I'll get to that. Okay. So, before internet was a way of life, and before I was even old enough to care to read a newspaper, I was very suspect of River Country. The name, the energy, the place, it seemed fun, but in an eerie way that felt more like a front. Like, if you just picked off a fine first layer of Disney magic, there would be something decayed underneath. It sounds dramatic, but that's the best I can describe the feelings I had as 7-year-old me.
Okay.
What's important to realize here is I thought River Country seemed like a menacing place somehow.
I'm so excited. Okay.
There's not really a climax here. It's just sort of
visuals though. I'm just like, I'm so excited for little brownie you. What
oh
an
my
adventure.
gosh. Horrified. But anyway, so I remember climbing the stairs. So there was like as I mentioned, there was like a regular pool. Mm-hmm. So I remember climbing the stairs that were designed to look like a mountain or like a cliff up to the top of a pair of water slides that went into the regular pool. So the thing about these water slides was they cut off midway down to give the look of waterfalls crashing over mountains. The result was, after you climbed up a realistic, for a kid, mountain, you slid down a water slide halfway and then you free fell into this pool. Right?
Oh my god.
Almost like you were falling off a waterfall.
Yeah.
I learned online that this mountainous water slide was called Slippery Slide Falls, and the cutoff slide was called Upstream Plunge. And I have a map of that stuff and information about that from Disney Maniac 21, which is just a blog, but it was really informative anyway. I also remember the shallower yet darker, murkier lake water of the lagoon playground. It had a regular water slide that spit you out into the very barren section of the playground lagoon that seemed closer to the darkest part of the natural water. And at the time, when I was waiting in line to get on that water slide, I was like, dude, there's got to be leeches in here.
No.
Like, there has to be. Like, it seemed like it was just part of the lake. Then I started to wonder, it's like, oh, well, maybe there's gators or sharks.
Fuck off. Oh my god.
I know, it goes back to you saying, like, bull sharks and that can get into, like, regular water.
They can get into fresh water.
Yeah. The potential was frightening. It seemed like a fine line between the real danger elements and the whimsical tourist destination. That water slide was the Whoop and Holler Hollow. Okay, so I have another little blurb here from yesterland.com. So, photos and maps of River Country show the park had 2 bodies of water. The smaller one was a clean, clear swimming pool. The larger one appeared to be a natural cove completely open to Bay Lake, the largest natural lake at Walt Disney World. In reality, the cove's water was isolated from Bay Lake by a barrier across the mouth of the cove. Large pumps pulled water from Bay Lake through filters to feed the water slides and whitewater rapids. The water level of the cove was higher than the lake, so water from the cove would cascade over the top of the barrier into Bay Lake, but not the other way around. So I guess the idea was to keep out sharks and alligators
and gators. Yeah.
I'll put some pictures of the park in the show notes just because it's very creepy. So this is from Wikipedia, and this is where I started to feel justified in my bad vibes that I got from this park. There were several deaths that took place at River Country.
I was waiting. Okay.
The first was an 11-year-old boy who contacted an amoebic infection of the brain from the water. So an amoeba went into his brain from his nasal cavity. And, yeah. So, continuing the quote, park officials noted that similar amoebic infections also occurred relatively frequently elsewhere and said it was an inherent problem with freshwater lakes in warm weather and thus could not be blamed on the park's water system. 3 other children had died similarly in Florida in the same month. The other 2 deaths at River Country were from drowning in 82 and in 89. Whoa. So there were 3 deaths in total that took place at River Country, none of which were alligator related.
Or sharks.
However, it is a rumor. Like, that was the other thing Mom remembered. She was like, I think a kid ate an alligator there.
A kid ate an alligator. Oh, yes. Yes.
An alligator ate a kid there.
Yeah.
But I think that was kind of an urban legend. So, the closest alligator-related incident was reported in June 2016 with the tragic death of a 2-year-old Lane Graves in Seven Seas Lagoon, and that was at the Grand Floridian Hotel. So Walt Disney World's a bit of a compound, so they were close enough in the within the body of water that, like, over time, I see how that could have, like, appeared to be a River Country thing, but River Country was closed in 2005, so this happened in 2016. The attack prompted signage at all Disney parks warning guests not to go in the body of water. So that kid did die. His dad tried to save him and just couldn't. But they were able to recover his body. And they ended up killing a bunch of gators, I believe, too, to try and like figure out what happened there. With the indefinite closure of the park in 2001 and the confirmed permanent closure in 2005 due to lack of guest demand for a reopen, nature gradually reclaimed the park, and it sat for over 17 years abandoned. So there's some awesome videos online of this park, just like the nature just coming back in and overgrowing, like the weeds and the water slides. Like, if there wasn't gators before, there's fucking gators now.
Gators now.
Yeah.
Going down the slide.
It says, Wikipedia also said, River Country is one of only 2 Disney parks that closed permanently, along with Discovery Island, which was situated parallel to the water park. There are many similarities between the 2 closures, both closed permanently within 2 years of each other, and were also both abandoned and never mentioned by Disney.
Whoa.
It's just so creepy, right? So there's a website called bigfloridacountry.com.
Okay.
Where they have an advertisement for, they have an advertisement page for River Country. It's clearly, like, dated. So I can't tell through the original source of that advertisement from the website, but it says of River Country, it's a fun-loving, carefree spirit of Huck Finn. Oh, sorry. The fun-loving, carefree spirit of Huck Finn is alive in River Country. Whether you splash the day away on Raft Rider Ridge, soak up the sun on the beach, or picnic with the family, you're sure to enjoy a day of 1800s-style fun in River Country. And I'm just like, we can't have 1800s-style fun. People died because of 1800s-style fun. Like, this park was never a good idea.
It's kind of amazing, though.
So it seemed to me, even as a kid with my brownie troop, that River Country was rife with some kind of energetic glue that crafts urban legends.
Totally.
I'd always heard there was a gator that killed someone in the bay at River Country, but of course that was debunked by the truth once we could access the internet and figure out what really happened. I wasn't surprised to discover that creepypasta has there's a creepypasta of River Country. Being the source of some supernatural epidemic hidden in the lagoon. And I'll link that creepypasta story. It's pretty terrifying, but it kind of, like, speaks to, like, the actual energy that I felt at the park, which is just, like, yeah, it was real. I
feel like there needs to be, like a show or something filmed there now, though.
Oh, yeah.
I just have it in my head. It's like, I need to see this place.
Well, you can. There's also some great videos on YouTube of people that, like, explore the abandoned park, and also footage of it in its heyday. So, like, you can see a lot of it, and tell me that you don't think it's fucking terrifying. Like, so I saw a lot of comments online of people that, like, loved and missed River Country and had a nostalgia for it. I cannot relate. And the park, I think about that park when I tap into like my deepest, darkest fears. Like even as an adult, like that, like whatever like that most visceral response is, that park always pops in my head. In closing, this was another creepy thing that I found out that speaks to my opinion of it. Apparently, the lights and music were left on at the park after its abandonment.
Shut up.
So you could just like, the regrowth was coming in and like it was just that happy Disney music.
They just were like, we'll just eat the power bill. Like, who cares?
Disney doesn't give a fuck.
Apparently not, man.
But
Jeez.
dude, yeah, scariest theme park ever.
Sorry.
That's okay.
He's so not into river country either. He's like,
I feel you, man. I feel
that
you.
doesn't sound cool at all.
Don't worry. It's going to become a new facility.
This reminds me of something. And it's that Natalie Portman movie. Did you watch it? It's like, I forget what it's called. Fuck, I'm looking it up right now. Annihilation, I think?
No.
Did you ever watch? No? Okay. Okay, it's a biologist signs up for a dangerous secret expedition into a mysterious zone where the laws of nature don't apply. That's super fucking vague. But anyway, it's really, really good. And on the inside, it's like in the mysterious zone, it feels like that was the imagery that I was building in my head when you were telling me the story. It was like nature kind of took over it again.
Right.
But there's like sci-fi twists in it and stuff, which is super fun. But yeah, it's visually stunning.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good strange ride.
Yeah, I like that. I'll check that out from the safety of my couch and not like on a Girl Scout trip at the actual place of danger, in my opinion. But also, if anyone's listening to this and they've been to river country or anything like that, please share, because I kind of felt alone when I saw the people being like, oh, it was such a great place. And I'm like, where were you? I was terrified.
I don't know. It's weird, though. Some people just, like, see stuff differently. I remember going to... I forget the name of it, like some old-timey, like, amusement park when I was in the States for one summer. Mm-hmm. And it had, like a really old wooden roller coaster. Right. And everyone was like, isn't it quaint? It's so nice, so much fun. And I was like, I'm not going on that thing. And I think it was, like, even maybe a month later or something, there was like an accident there and people were like fucked up. Like,
yeah, you know
people,
why?
Like, lost a leg and shit because like
yeah,
because
we're not supposed to have 1800 style fucking fun now.
Right? It's like, it doesn't matter if you put extra bolts in it. Like, don't have wooden roller coasters. Mm-hmm. It's just stupid. Mm-hmm. So stupid. Yeah. But yeah, I was definitely like very thankful I didn't go on it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we could do a whole episode too, I feel like, about the dangers of amusement parks and like that sort of stuff, for sure.
Right? Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I haven't been to one in forever.
Nor have I don't think.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. All right, so let's hear about your new furniture.
Oh, yeah. It was really weird. I've just been like home with little dude and basically like redesigning the rooms up here and like buying stuff from IKEA and secondhand stuff and just like, making it cute. Mm-hmm. And I got this. I'll just show you because it's very cute. When we started redoing the kitchen, I was like, oh, cute 1940s country kitchen. Like, wouldn't that be precious?
Yes.
But now I'm like, I will do that. But there also needs to be a splash of like the Spellman's mortuary in there because that house is, so beautiful.
Totally.
Anyway, so I got this piece, which is like from the 30s. I don't know if I should wait just a second. I can kind of see. Bam.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so it's like from the 30s. It's absolutely stunning. It's been around. Like, it's not in the best shape, but I was like so excited to get something to put my I have teacup collection in because I'm an old lady. So Justin picked it up for me and brought it home. It was pretty quickly. Like the next day I like cleaned it out, got all excited, put everything in it, and I was all like, ooh la la, this is so nice. But Justin's been working really late, so sometimes he doesn't get home till like 10 o'clock. So after I put everything in it, twice water turned on, once in the kitchen and once in the bathroom, without me being in the kitchen or the bathroom.
Oh.
So, like, to the point, like, I had to go turn it off.
Yeah.
Like, not like, oh, it was on and off. It could have just been weird. No, it's like the water started running and I had to go turn it off.
Yeah.
And it was, the first time I was with Walter in the living room and I was like, is that water in the kitchen? And I came in and it was running. I had to, of course, you like, well, maybe I left it running.
Mm-hmm.
But I like turned it off and was like, I didn't have it running. I was trying to be like, maybe I was filling up the kettle, maybe I was watering the plants, like having a kid and like not sleeping great, sometimes you just forget life stuff. But I honestly could not remember turning it on. And then the next one was in the bathroom, like I was getting ready to give Walter a bath and the water was on before I turned it on to fill up his tub, and I was like, y'all, that's weird. It
is, yeah.
But I was like, it's okay, whatever. It's just, I'm tired. So I got everything ready for Walter's bath. And when I was bathing him, like crouched sitting on the floor by the tub, bathing him, it felt like someone grabbed my shoulder. Not like grab, but like touched my shoulder. Like Justin would if he got home and he called and I didn't hear him. Maybe he'd come in the bathroom and be like tap on the shoulder sort of thing. It was something like that. It 100% felt like someone touching me.
Right.
And I thought it was Justin. I turned around. It was no one. And I was like,
yeah.
But he was in the bathtub and I didn't want to take him out. So I was like, if there's someone in the house right now, like, fuck, kind of thing. So I just like sat there and was like, and I wash your feet now. Cute. He was oblivious. Yeah. And I was terrified. Oh. So got him out of the bathtub and everything. And I was just like, everything's fine. And I just walked in. And I was like, oh my God, it's you, furniture. Like, it's you.
Right.
So I just smudged it and like opened the windows and was like, so,
that's good.
Basically, if there's anything in here, please leave. If you got bad vibes, leave. If you're here and you're cool or whatever, that's fine.
Yeah.
But, like,
it's just a ghost trying to help you get the dishes done.
Like, honestly, I just didn't. I thought of the changeling like right away too, because I was like, ooh. But it was weird because like after I felt like someone touched me, I honestly was like, I just thought of. That's cute.
Oh my gosh!
That's the first time they ever like interacted.
Oh,
that was
just
cute.
Playing with a kitty.
Oh. That was so funny.
That was so
He's
cute.
Like,
he just reached out for her.
Yeah. Oh my God. Cute friends. Anyway, yeah. I instantly was like, it's that. It's the new furniture. And it just made sense. And I was like, okay. And I told Justin when he got home and he like, I don't think fully believed me.
Right.
But he listened and he was like, oh, so you're smudging it? That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
I should just do that all the time anyway when I bring in stuff.
Unless it's IKEA, because like let's be real, none of that's haunted right now.
Oh, no, imagine if it was though. So bizarre.
If furniture that new came haunted, I'd be pissed.
I'd be like, give me a discount, refund, something.
Right? At least with the 1930s piece, you're like, yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. There were like water stains on it. I just remembered that. There are 2 big water stains on the top of it.
Right.
Anyway.
Where did you get it?
It was some woman in Antigonish had it and was listing it. And I bought it off of like Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, nice.
So I don't know where it's from.
Right.
Or who owned it or anything like that. And there's like jam preserves in one of the drawers that's like solidified and hardened. Like I couldn't even chisel it off.
Oh my God.
So I was like, this thing was like loved and used.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's
that was like
so neat.
My most recent spooky thing.
It's neat because it doesn't feel like it would be creepy to have happen, but it doesn't feel malevolent.
No, it didn't feel. I wasn't like scared like oh no, like
yeah.
but it definitely was like, no, thank you.
Sure.
It was at that level of like, no, thank you.
No.
I don't need this.
No. You don't need your babysitter to be like an ethereal being that's,
I'm
Yeah.
good. I'm good. Yeah. There was one, but I'm pretty sure I told you it also at Taylor Head and like a fisherman ghost.
I don't remember a fisherman ghost.
Fisherman ghost? It was at Taylor's Head. Is it Taylor's Head or Taylor Head? I can't remember.
Is it a place? Is that?
Yeah, it's a place. It's like a hiking ground campsite sort of thing.
See, because you were on brownies for so long, you would know that. I got the fuck out as soon as I could.
No, it was when I worked with my sister at the education center. She was like super pregnant at the time. The two of us and one of her coworkers, we were supposed to go to Taylor's Head to set up for like a wilderness camping thing, and we were gonna like teach kids and stuff. One of those places where it's like you go and you have a tarp and that's your tent. You have to figure it out. You sleep on boughs kind of thing. So we got there and we set up camp, and then we got a call over the walkie-talkie saying that there was like a huge forest fire coming and we needed to leave immediately because it's out on a peninsula, and if we didn't, there was a chance that we could have got caught out there. The fire just would have blocked us off. Mm-hmm. So we were like, okay, if we go back, and we went back, and there's like an old fishing house at the front of the park that they turned into offices and stuff. So we decided to just camp there. We just camped in the parking lot beside it. It was a gravel parking lot.
Yeah.
Sarah and I both kind of had a conversation beforehand. We were like, oh, there's going to be ghosties and creepsies things. And the other person that was with us, she was like, I don't believe in that stuff. Like, whatever. It's not real. And we were like, okay, cool. And then when we went to sleep, I remember hearing footsteps in the gravel. You know, like big boots in gravel, how that sounds? Like, I kept hearing that. And it very clearly sounded like, it wasn't like, oh, maybe things are falling in the gravel. It like sounded like the pace and the tone and everything. It was someone walking. Somehow I eventually fell asleep. I don't know how, like, because that's creepy as fuck. But anyway, I fell asleep and I kept having a dream of this man like in one of those like old fisherman cable nice sweaters, walking up to the tent with an oar and like pointing at the corner of the tent like over and over and over again. That's like all I saw. And in the morning I woke up and got coffee ready and stuff, and I just was like, that is so bizarre and so weird. And I was like, I know I heard footsteps, and like didn't want to like say it to anyone, but my sister woke up and was like, did you have super weird dreams? And like she told me that she kind of had like the same dream about like this man, and she heard steps too. And I was like, that's super fucking weird.
Yes.
She also was like, he kept pointing at the corner of the tent, and it was where this other woman was sleeping.
Right.
And we were like, oh, and we were like, well, let's not tell her. I was like, she doesn't believe anyway, but if she does, we don't want to freak her out or creep her out or anything. But when she woke up, she was like,
ghost etiquette.
Yeah, she was like, it must have been really windy last night. The tent just kept hitting me in the face all night. And Sarah and I were just like, oh, yeah. And because it wasn't windy.
It was a guy in a dapper sweater vest.
Fucking poking her with an oar.
Poking her with an oar. That is so creepy. Oh my gosh.
Like, what is that? Did he just like pick her? He liked her? Like, what does that mean?
I have no idea.
Oh, but yeah, we didn't. Yeah, we just were like, okay. I think maybe my sister like mentioned it and she laughed. She was like, whatever, that's not real. We were like, okay.
No, it's totally natural for people to have identical dreams of the same person. No big deal.
Yeah, and for someone to get hit in the face with a tent when there's no wind. And just you. Just you. Totally.
Oh, that's so creepy.
That was definitely one of those times where like Sarah and I are like, weird things happen when it's the two of us. Mm-hmm. Like she said before, she was like, it's like spooky things get amplified.
You guys are like selenite crystals or something.
I don't know. It's like the sister thing.
Thank you for joining us and sharing stories on this episode of the Coven Slumber Party podcast. Keep an eye out for the CSP candles with their ideal aroma of popcorn and Dr. Pepper soda, 2 Slumber Party staples. And if you can, please review, subscribe, or share the podcast with your friends. Tell them there's no initiation required, just a few wholesome rounds of light as a feather, stiff as a board, tarot card slinging, weekend witchcraft, and of course, lots of pizza. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you at the next slumber party.
and I'm just going to just be rogue.
Be rogue. I support this so hard.